Thank you all so much for tuning in today. I'm really excited to dive into this office hours, both to learn all about how to multiply and diverse our revenue as a creative or retail business, and also because a core goal of Dreamers and Doers is to amplify you in your journeys. And one of the ways we achieve this is by facilitating game-changing educational events that give us all the opportunity to up-level together, such as this one. So before we officially begin, I want to share a bit of background information on our esteemed expert. DeAnna is a trend-setting, results-driven growth strategist and consultant with over 16 years of experience helping retailers drive sales, conversion, productivity, innovation, and engagement. With a strong eye for design and her corporate merchandising experience, she has launched numerous products into brick and mortar and e-commerce platforms, one of the most notable being a multi-million-dollar program with a big box retailer. DeAnna also founded her company, Retailing Evolved, to equip creative and retail businesses with proven merchandising strategies, tools, and systems she utilized daily as a buyer and in various other roles during her career. She and her team help creative entrepreneurs and retailers multiply and diversify their revenue with zero ad spend. After the senseless murder of George Floyd and seeing the awakening of retail companies to their lack of diversity, DeAnna co-founded the nonprofit Diversify Retail Inc. to drive industry-wide change and make a global impact. So with that, I will hand it over to you, DeAnna. We are so excited to learn from your expertise today. We know how valuable your time is, and we are so grateful to you for investing in the collective in this way.
Thank you for having me. Thank you everyone for being here. I am super excited. And I have to start by telling you that I am sick. So if I cough, if I take a sip, I have a cough drop in my mouth. So bear with me, but I have my voice. So yes, I will go ahead and share my screen. And if you have questions as we're going through, feel free to drop it in the chat. Would love to answer them as I go so that it makes sense with the conversation. All right, so let me switch that. All right, can you see the slides? Good, okay. Okay, so we're going to talk about how to multiply and diversify your revenue with zero ad spend. And just to introduce myself again, so I'm DeAnna McIntosh. I help creative and retailers multiply and diversify their revenue without spending a penny on ads, and all in one day. I am located in Atlanta. This is my office in Atlanta. So if you are here or you ever come through here, please stop by and say hello. And just to show you some of the companies that I've worked with in the past, Home Depot, Bloomingdale's, Chico's, HP, Office Depot, the Home Depot, all the depots. And I've really seen the industry from so many different angles and perspectives, from the corporate level and to the small and mid-sized business level that I work with right now. And I love corporate because I saw that the innovation, the newness, the customer experiences, all the cool stuff about retail that doesn't get featured in the news comes from you. So I wanted to leave corporate to now give you guys the same strategies that we use in corporate to drive your businesses, and how to multiply and diversify your revenue without ad spend. The word is merchandising. It's this like big, cloudy, fluffy word that nobody ever really knows what it means. And you think that it means visual merchandising, but that's just one small component of it. So we'll talk about that in a second. But my goal is to really just empower you today and help you think a little bit deeper and bigger about your business and the potential that you have. So these are the topics we're going to cover, which are merchandising, of course, the merchant mindset, removing the box that you put yourself in, 4 focus areas to multiply and diversify your revenue, and then what it means to disrupt. And the good news is, of course, you're one idea away, truly, from disrupting the way you grow your revenue. It literally, I hope, my hope is that in this conversation today, you can come up with that one idea. And one thing to know about me is that I will never look at you as a small business or a mid-sized business. I'm going to look at you as a billion-dollar brand, and you should look at yourself the same exact way and run your business that way. So there's that. And so let's go back to merchandising. I would literally tell you that like 99.8, pretty much like 0.9% of businesses I talk to don't actually know what this is. So tell me in the chat, do you feel like you know what merchandising actually is? And like I said, it's bigger than visual merchandising. So just let me know. I would love to see. And just for context, I actually went to school for merchandising. To my degree, I went to the Fashion Institute of Technology, FIT, in New York. So my degree is in international fashion merchandising management. So think about that. Like if there's a whole degree around merchandising and then small and mid-sized businesses don't know what that is, you can see the huge disconnect, which, as my husband calls me, the savior of retail. I'm trying to bridge that gap and give you guys the same strategies that, like I said, we use in corporate so that you can grow to that level. And merchandising really, it is an art and a science. It's the art of your gut, having that fashion eye, that perspective to see products that apply to your target customers and know what's going to sell. But then there's a science to it too, which is the numbers, which you probably hate. But moral of the story is merchandising is critical to your business success. So I will explain that, and I hope that at the end you will know exactly what it is. And thank you to Christine for saying my office is beautiful. It's definitely my labor of love. All right, so I start off every single talk that I do with a quote. And this one is, advertising moves people towards goods. Merchandising moves goods towards people. So if you think about that for a second. So when you're advertising, you're, on social media, you're running ads, you're getting press, right? So you're doing all those things to move people towards you, towards your store, towards your business. But when you're merchandising, it's all the things you're doing internally in your business to push your business and your goods and your services to your people. Okay. So advertising is all about, it's people facing, right? You're talking to your customers to try to get them in. Merchandising is product facing or service facing. So it's your services and your products that you're trying to push to your people. Hopefully that helps kind of clarify the big picture of what merchandising is. And here's another way to look at it. Merchandising, like I said, is the core of every product-based business. And so it's defined as having the right products or services at the right time, at the right price, at the right place, with the right promotion, and getting it to the right people. So it's the 5 Ps. And yes, it looks like the 5 Ps of marketing, but as I just explained, marketing, the 5 Ps is really relating to the people, right? But merchandising is related to your products and services. So hopefully that helps. One more diagram to help you understand really what it is. And this is what truly brings it full circle. Because a lot of people don't know how the inside of your favorite brands and retailers really function. And the way they function is the merchants run everything, or the buyers, they could also be called, literally everything. So you are the merchant or buyer of your company. And that's how you should look at yourself, right? So you're the center, which you can see on the diagram. And I'm going to walk you through what it is like in a corporate office, because you're going to have your own corporate office one day, right? Yes, let me know in the chat. So I'm going to let you know how it's going to work in your business once you are a $1 billion company. And it'll also kind of help you put the things that you do in your business on a day-to-day into perspective. Because another thing that's holding a lot of entrepreneurs back from growing and multiplying their revenue is a lack of structure. And merchandising provides that structure. So let me explain that. So as you see, you're in the middle. You're the head merchant of your business. So when I was a merchant, I'll just walk you through that. So the first thing, everybody I hope has a sales goal for this year. If you feel comfortable, drop it in the chat. Let me know what it is. And it better be more than 100,000. Just gonna say that now. Because as you know, If you sell products in your business, 100,000, I call it, it's like flipping burgers at McDonald's, because after the inventory comes out, then you're at around 50,000, and then everything else comes out. What are you left with? So tell me in the chat if you're comfortable. What's your sales goal for this year? So in corporate, let's say all of our goal is 50 million for the year. We'll call it that. So then I would work with the merchandising planning team or inventory planners. And we would say, okay, our sales goal for the year is 50 million. What does that look like? If I sold apparel in my store, they would tell me, okay, well, of that 50 million, 10 million needs to go to tops. 20 million needs to go to bottoms. 10 million needs to go to accessories and so forth. And then from there, if we said 10 million needs to go to tops, 2 million goes to short sleeve, 3 million goes to long sleeve. So we keep breaking down the financial goals into like really granular levels. And then they tell you obviously how much you have to spend. You're open to buy. So you have your sales goal, and then you have to look at everything you already carry in stock, all the inventory you have, to see how much you have to spend. And so that's what the function of a merchandising planning team is. And if you are managing a lot of SKUs, a lot of inventory, you should definitely look into getting an inventory planner to help you with profitability and cash flow, which are two huge things in your business, as you know. So after we know what our sales goal is and how to break it down by department, if you make your own products, the next step is to talk to your designers. But instead of saying, hey, I want you to just design whatever, no, I want you to design these specific number of styles and types of products to hit my sales goal. Tell me if that makes sense. So if we said 10 million in tops, 2 million in short sleeve, then you need to also tell them that 2 million, I want, that's going to translate to 100 SKUs. And out of that 100, I want you to design X, X, and X. So you're giving them specific things to design into so that, again, everything rolls back up to your sales goal. So that's how that works. And then the product development team at that point then starts to make the actual products come to life and adding the fabrics, the trims, whatever the case is. If you don't make your own products, you kind of skip that step and you go to this step, which is sourcing and production. So if you're buying wholesale, this is you. You have your sales goal, but you don't have to talk to the design team. Now you're going to trade shows, I hope, or looking at Instagram to find your products, right? And now you're buying according to this goal and you're negotiating your costs, right? You're looking at your vendor relationships and seeing where you can leverage things, where you can commit to fabric or whatever the case is. Oils, if you sell candles, up front so you can get better cost savings later. So that happens in that stage. And then visual merchandising happens. So there's all these things that happen before that. And at this stage, now you have full samples of whatever it is that you're going to buy or make, right? So now it's like, okay, if you have a brick and mortar store, if you sell wholesale to somebody else's store, how are you going to display it? What products should go together? What products are your new products replacing? That's a really important one too. And the same thing if you're e-commerce only. How are you displaying your new products that you're bringing in? And then now marketing comes into play. Again, all these things have to happen and align and be strategically planned according to your sales plan before you get to marketing. So now you're at marketing. What your role is now is to tell them, what are we actually going to talk about? And you have that planned out by month, your big ideas, and even by week. And then you can give these people specific directions on what to do, right? So we're launching this lavender candle in September week 2. I need you to focus on that for the week. Now they're clear, right? And now we can tie those results back to your sales goals. And then the last piece is customer service. So like I was mentioning in the visual merchandising part, all right, we have all these new products. What are the features? What are the benefits? What are these products replacing? So if a customer messages us about X style, oh, we're not selling that anymore, but we have this new one coming in that you'll love even more. So tell me now in the chat if you understand merchandising. So it's you being the merchant and then centering everything in your business around you, your vision, your strategy. That is how you really, that's honestly how you scale profitably, for one, is by making sure everybody is aligned and working to the same financial goals. So hopefully that makes sense. Now, with merchandising, I want to talk about the mindset of a merchant and your role in your business. Because again, I can't stress enough. I'm really passionate right now, and just in general, but about vision, right? So if you look at all the companies, all your competitors, whoever, what makes you different than everybody else is the vision that you have. Like, why did you start this business? You know, what was it that prompted you? And we'll talk about that in a second. But don't underestimate the power of your vision, because all of these other businesses and competitors who are going out of business or will go out of business is because they lacked vision. They're just out here selling stuff. Whereas you, I assume, want to do more than just sell stuff. You want to actually serve your customers and provide an experience and truly make an impact, right? That's what's different about you than everybody else. So in addition to serving your customer, we also have to make money. That's why you're here. And so the merchant mindset, I kind of made this up from the way I thought when I was in corporate, which is every move I make makes me money. If you need to, write that on a sticky note, put it on your mirror in your bathroom, put it on your walls in your office. Just every move I make makes me money. Because once you align your business with merchandising strategy, like I mentioned, everything that you do has to make you money, because it's all tied together to your financial plan, which is your money. And it just really is about thinking profit first in every single thing you do. Every single thing. Think about it. Is this going to make me money? And is this going to serve my customer? Because if one of those answers is no, you shouldn't do it. And it's that simple. And just, I want to empower you to just put yourself in the driver's seat of your business every single day. I know it's hard, especially in these times, but you really do hold the power to move your business forward with what you have right now without running ads. And you probably already know, but to grow your business, you have to invest in it and in yourself. And just, again, master the thinking and doing that every move you make ties directly back to delighting your customer and hitting your sales goals. That is what it's about. Oh, I just want to chat really quick about the current outlook of retail. And a lot of things that I'm talking about to apply to a creative business, but I want to narrow in on retail really quick. So don't know if you know, but retail is a $5.5 trillion industry, huge. And the National Retail Federation said 1 in 4 jobs are retail jobs. So this is a huge industry that we're in. There's strong competition, obviously, from people like Amazon and discount department stores. But I want to highlight e-commerce was only 14.3% of total sales in the first quarter of this year. Brick and mortar is here to stay, never going anywhere, ever. And if you need somebody to cheerlead that with you, I'm your girl. I live for that. So just keep that in mind, that if you're e-commerce only right now, later we'll talk about other ways to diversify your revenue. Doesn't have to be opening up a brick and mortar store, but there's other ways for you to drive revenue in addition to e-commerce. Also, disruptions in the supply chain have gotten better. Don't know if you've seen that lately since the pandemic started. So luckily that's starting to die down, and we're going to see a lot of retailers discounting their inventory. So be aware of that. Staffing is a huge pain point still. And then, as we all know, inflation is here and there's a lot of talks of a recession. So we know where we are today, but where are we going? And not just with retail, but just business overall, honestly. The future of retail, to me, these 4 things for sure. The first thing is immersive shopping. How many of you have used live stream shopping, whether in your business or you've bought something on a live stream? Instagram has live stream shopping. I believe TikTok has it now or will have it. So immersive shopping is so important. Before Rona, retail really needed a shakeup. And if you really think about how many times you went in store to buy something, I wonder what that number would be. And in 2020, there was people predicting like 25% of America's malls might disappear by 2025, which is insane, right? So if we reimagine what retail should be, it has to be immersive. People have to have a true experience when they walk in the doors. Even before they walk in the door, when they come to your website, they should have an experience. And also, the future of retail and business in general is community driven. Do any of you have Facebook groups that you use as like a funnel, maybe like a lead gen tool for your business? Let me know. But I can't tell you how many of my clients and other entrepreneurs are growing and have built their success on a Facebook group. It's crazy, but the longing for community is deeper than ever before. And so when you think about your store or your business, how are you incorporating community inside? We're in a community, Dreamers and Doers, prime example, right? So we're all here together. How can you create the same environment and camaraderie in your business? So within your business with your customers, but also outside of your business. Are you volunteering in the community around you? How are you giving back? So that's going to become really, really important as the years go on and as people look for more depth to their purchasing. The third thing is diversity, which as we saw in 2020, after the murder of George Floyd, we saw all these big brands and retailers and companies committing to Black-owned brands, blah, blah, blah. Well, 2 years later, that's all fizzled out pretty much, unfortunately. But it's truly everything that happened showed us that customers are now shopping by their values. They're going to look at you and see, are you diverse and inclusive? If you say you are, but then they look on your Instagram and your website and it's not, there's a disconnect and they will see it, right? Do you support women-owned businesses? Like, what are your values? Because if you don't know what those are, you should define them. And then the last thing is tech forward. So, I just talked about live stream shopping. There's so many new things that you can do with tech to enable your business. One of my favorite things, it's on my website always, is Video Ask. I don't know if you've heard of that tool. It's made by Typeform, which you might know about. But Video Ask allows you to send video messages to clients. So for example, instead of a boring chat that all e-commerce sites have, use a video ask. So it's a real person saying, hi, welcome, blah, blah, blah. How can I help you? And then they can press different buttons for what they need. And then you can respond automatically with a video again. So it's kind of like having a true conversation. That's just what I see as the future of retail. I have one more quote for you, which is meaningful innovation does not need to be based on outright invention. Rather, there is an exhilarating shortcut. It's based on bold new combinations of already existing components that simultaneously unlock heightened levels of consumer value and reduce costs. It's pretty long, but it should encourage you that you don't have to come up with the next big company or the next big idea. You really just need to look at what you already have going on in your business and figure out ways to shake it up to create a new combination that seems really cool and new, but it might not be. So like truly, it could have just been one simple tweak that made a world of the difference. And so as we think about how to think about our businesses differently, one thing that I really want you to do, not just today, but moving forward, is to remove the title or classification of retailer or a creative business, photographer, whatever your business is, remove that title and truly just look at yourself as I'm a person who owns a X business that solves X problem. That's it. So don't look at yourself as a retailer. You're solving X problem for your customer. Because once you stop just thinking about, I'm a retailer, I sell products, you can start expanding your mind and thinking about things in a completely different way when all you're focusing on is solving a specific problem. And with that, you can take notes on your phone or something, but I just want to jog your memory and have you reflect on some things, because they will start helping you to think about how you can disrupt and be different, to then take that to diversify your revenue and also multiply your revenue. So I just want you to reflect for a couple minutes with me. First question: what was your vision behind starting your business? And if you're not the founder of whatever business you're here with, go back to the founder. Or if you're a co-founder, go talk to your co-founder and really have that conversation. Like, why did you start it? And really dig deep. And your answer to this question should be what gets you through these hard times, right? Because you can always go back to that. And that vision should really level set everything. So why did you start your business? So you can jot that down now or later, but really pull at those heartstrings. And I can tell you, me personally, I've had to ask myself this question many times in the last year or so. And business evolves, right? When we think about increasing our revenue and diversifying our revenue, to really do it in a way that's impactful, we should do it in a way that aligns with us, who we are, what our values are, what our long-term vision is for our lives, and why we started this business in the first place, right? So that as we grow, we're growing profitably, but we're also growing our impact and our love for what it is that we do. So why did you start your business? The next question, which is a big one: what problems does your business actually solve for your customers? And I always encourage people to really dig deep with this question as well, because when entrepreneurs come to me and they want to start a business, this is one of the first questions and exercises I have them do. And a lot of them decide not to go into business because they can't answer this question. And I always say to try to have 3 problems. Come up with at least 3 problems that your business solves for your customers. And if you can't come up with 3, try to make it up, like make a problem. But the more problems you solve for your customers, the more competitive you are, right? That's kind of how you think about it. So the more problems you solve, the more competitive you are. And a lot of times people will give me generic answers for this question because they aren't digging deep enough. And they'll say, oh, I just want to sell trendy products at low price points. That's not a problem. I can go to H&M and Zara for that. What are you actually solving for me? Right. And that's where you start to pull in the impact part about what you do. So you're going to have to take this away probably, but try to come up with 3 problems that your business solves for your customers. And then after you do that, of course, how many ways do you solve those problems? Or like, how do you solve those problems for your customer? And so remember, the more problems you solve, the more competitive you are. But then how many ways you solve those problems, the more revenue streams there are. So think about that. So every single way that you can solve problems, those are revenue streams. For example, I guess I'll use myself as an example. Like I said, with a lot of people, a lot of entrepreneurs, what I've seen is they need help developing their vision. And how can I be more impactful? Yes, how can I grow my revenue too? How? I don't think a lot of us dream enough anymore. Dreamers and doers. I did not do that on purpose. But I don't think a lot of us dream enough because we're so focused on the doing. And so I went back to the drawing board. That's what I'm really passionate about. And I said, okay, well, what does this mean? Like, how can I help people really pull their vision out. So I created a box, which I'm looking at, but it's a physical box and a workshop that's digital, but it has tools, it has charts, it has things to really help you jog your memory and really dig deep into what it is that you want. And some of those things in the box are questions here. Like this is one of the things, exercises that you would do. So it's like, that's something that I can now provide to people to help them dig deeper and be more fulfilled in what they're doing. So what can you do for your people? Another example is the sewing industry. I was in California last week. I know nothing about the sewing industry, but I was invited to speak about retail, of course. And so I got there and I was overwhelmed. And I asked the sewing store owners, I'm like, how are y'all solving the problem of new people to this industry? Because there's literally like 10 million needles. There's a zillion threads. There's like all the stuff that goes into sewing that I had no clue about, even being in the fashion industry. How are y'all helping me? If I walk into your store right now, how are you helping me? They were like, I don't know. So I'm like, there's a revenue stream opportunity. There's a problem you're solving. It's helping new crafters, aspiring crafters get started. But then how are you doing that? Are you going to do workshop? That's a revenue stream. Are you going to have a box, a physical box that I can come in and purchase? That'll come with a workshop, that'll come with tools, my first needle, my first set of thread. Like, how are you solving that problem? Does that make sense? So again, the more problems you solve, the more competitive you are. And then the more solutions you provide to each of those problems, the more revenue stream opportunities there are. So I encourage you to try to think of 3 problems, but then 3 solutions to each of those problems. So 9 total solutions, AKA revenue streams. That's a way to look at it right there. And if we dig deeper, let's look at 4 focus areas, because I like to compartmentalize things because retail and just being in business in general is very complex. So I like to group it into 4 compartments. So the first one is customer connectedness, which I know it's hard to say. So if we focus on this part for increasing your revenue, how can you get more revenue and diversify your revenue through your customers, right? So customer connectedness means that you know your customers so intimately that you're constantly a magnetizing authoritative brand in their minds. And if you're solving problems for them, you will be naturally. It just is what happens. And I encourage you this week to take some time to really get to know your target customer, but really know them. And I'll show you soon what I mean by that, but go through their day. You know, what do they do when they wake up, when their feet hit the ground? Are they running downstairs to go fix breakfast for their kids? What is their life and how do you fit in that? Because I guarantee you will find places that you can interject yourself into their lives way more than you are right now, which again is more revenue. And answering questions like, what would make your customer never shop with you again? What can you do to make them so angry that they would never shop again? Make sure all your employees know the answer to that question too. But really just look at their mindset in every stage that they're in when they find you. If I came across you on social media, never met you before, what's my mindset and how are you catering to me, right? And then once I'm comparing you, considering you against your competitors, now what am I thinking? Now how can you draw me in? So just really being cognizant of that and getting to know your target customer really intimately. So Zendesk put out a report in late 2020, which they haven't updated yet, but I'm sure it didn't change that much drastically. But just to give you some perspective on little ways that you can, again, increase revenue by tweaking some things. So less than 30% of companies offered self-service on their website. So FAQs, help centers, knowledge bases, easy ways for your customer to get answers to their problems. And then live chat. You'd be surprised how many companies do not offer live chat, especially e-commerce companies. You have to do that. It is a non-negotiable. So, but again, less than 30% of companies offer that. Another thing is social or in-app messaging. Do you have a DM strategy on Instagram and Facebook? Do you WhatsApp with your customers? So that's another way to reach them and drive revenue. Bots, if mini chat is a great one for messenger bots. So that could help you as well, save time so you can focus more on strategy work and also reach your customers with the common questions that they may ask. And then peer-to-peer communities. As I mentioned earlier, how are you building community around your brand? Because a lot of times your customers will answer each other's questions and lessen your customer service inquiries. And there's plenty of platforms like Mighty Networks that you could be on, Circle, like we're on right now. What other ones? Tribe. There's a new one called framework.so. If you guys do challenges with your business, maybe you should. That could be a revenue stream, depending on what you sell. There's a new platform, framework.so. Check it out. It's literally for challenges. So these are just some examples of what you can do to increase engagement, conversion, and revenue. And to go back to what I was saying about interweaving your store into your customer's lifestyle. This is so big. And every time somebody does this exercise, they unlock major wins in revenue streams. So this is actually one of the charts that come inside of that flawless clarity box, my workshop box I told you about. But think about your customers as far as their personal being, their social being, their emotional being. Literally, like, what are they doing? What are their rituals and routines? What products are they using? What shows are they watching? What are their hobbies and interests? And really big, the emotional part. What things could help them? And again, you're removing retailer or photographer, whoever you are, whatever you do, remove that and just think about this person. You know, what would help them out right now in their life, right? What would stress them out? What inspires them? Because then you can take all of that information and align it with what you're doing in your business to create something that's more emotional. So deeper connections with them, right? And really, truly serving them deeper than anybody else. All right. So that was number one, customer connectedness. Number two is purposeful planning, which is my favorite, one of my favorites. Tell me in the chat, do you have, let's say, we all know we have an annual goal because we set one earlier, but do you have monthly sales goals? Let me know. And I'd even encourage you to do weekly goals, daily if you really want to be an overachiever, but purposeful planning just goes right back to what I said, which is tying everything in the business back to a dollar sign. So truly knowing what's driving your sales and your expenses is huge, and digging deeper. So not just saying, you know, all of my sweaters are working right now. No, they're not. There's always going to be something that's not selling. So it might look like sweaters are selling, but what is selling? Is it your white cotton sweaters that are selling and your black, I don't know, cashmere sweaters are not? Like, break it down to that level, because you're going to use that specific information to drive everything, right? So if the black cashmere isn't selling anymore, why? That's my biggest thing for you, is to say why. Ask why for everything. So if something is selling, why? If it's not selling, why? Because you need to use both of the information to inform your future decisions. So knowing why something is not selling means now you're going to go back to your vendors and cancel future POs. Now you're going to go back to your designers and say, stop designing that, change it to a different color, change it to a different fabric, right? So again, we're not talking about ads. We're talking about all things that we're doing by just managing our business in a really streamlined way. And so that'll also help you with inventory control, which I'm sure is your favorite. Another part of purposeful planning is setting objective goals, right? So not just saying, I want to increase revenue. No, I want to increase revenue by 10%. I want to increase my conversion rate by 3%. So just being very, very specific, because again, once you have specific goals, I hope that you're holding all the people on your team accountable to those goals. And I don't care if they're contractors. If you have an ad agency you work with, you tell them my goal, is X amount of dollars, sales dollars for this month. And this is the ROI I expect, just being very specific, right? Because once people have something to measure against, then you can be more productive and more profitable. And when you're thinking about your business as a whole, if we step even higher level, try to plan out your whole year in advance. And yes, things are always changing, but your overall messages probably don't change that much, right? So if November, December is about a gift for you, a gift for me, that's the theme. Okay, great. You have that now. Because now you can start buying to those themes and having your creative teams design to those themes and so forth. Just making sure you're constantly on top of everything that's going on in your business. And I know you have a lot going on because retail is crazy, business is crazy, but it just takes the time, you taking the time of streamlining and compartmentalizing the different areas of your business like we're talking about right now. And something that I always tell my clients to do is to do at least a monthly hindsight at minimum if you don't do it weekly. And what that is every single month or week, you're saying what worked, what didn't work, what opportunities did I miss? And then what action steps do I need to take next week or next month? And really digging deep every single month, because again, that information informs everything else that you do and can help you make better decisions to drive more revenue. That was number 2. So number 3 is unparalleled products, which without products, you wouldn't be a retailer. But you'd be surprised how many people I talk to that don't realize that they are a retail business, right? They get the business concept, but don't understand that a retail business is very different than any other business. And there's so many other things that come into play with retail that makes it more complex. So your products are your bread and butter, right? And your services and experiences. And so products is where everything begins. And we went over this earlier. This is what merchandising is about. This is what being a retailer is about. And the art and science of it is being able to get this right. And so with unparalleled products, what that means is that your product assortment is so perfectly curated for your target customers that they visit your shop and are like, she knows exactly what I need. She knows exactly what I want. And so biggest thing to remember is that your customers vote with their dollars, literally. So yes, you can ask them things on social media, ask their opinions in polls and things like that. But at the end of the day, your sales reports tell you a whole heck of a lot. So dig into them often. And when you're going to create a new product assortment or a new service offering, it should be an expert curation of what's actually trending. So looking at what's going on in your industry, but also outside of your industry, so you can find new innovative ways to do things. Your sales history, obviously, because when you analyze a business, you can see what's working, what's not, like we mentioned earlier. And then just you're good. Again, you're the founder, you're the visionary, this is your business, you know it the best. So the combination of those 3 things will help you create assortments that are truly what your customer craves. Also encourage you to source products in unexpected places. When you're going on trips overseas, talk to people. Every time I go to overseas, I'm talking to everybody and I'm finding the coolest new products to buy, to wear. And I'm asking, who are the designers? How can I get in contact with them, right? Because you could become an exclusive carrier of X product just by having a conversation on your trip to Greece. True story. So looking at unexpected places. Instagram is a great place to find new products. And then have a diversified supply chain. Major one that everybody should have learned from Rona. But make sure all your products are in different countries at different vendors so that if something happens with one, you have multiple backup plans. And even more specifically, make sure your best sellers are in diversified places. That's a key one. And build relationships with your vendors. You are, again, your products are your bread and butter. So those relationships are key. And the better your vendors, I guess, the more they love you, the better your life will be. Because when Rona first hit, all clients who had great relationships with their vendors, they got those last bits of stock before everything kind of just shut down, right? They're able to negotiate better costs and pricing than everybody else. So just being cognizant of that. And here's just some examples of places that you can find products that maybe you haven't thought about yet, which are trade shows like America's Mart, Magic. There's a zillion trade shows. I have a list on my website if you need it. Jora.com is for wholesaler merchandise. Local businesses, go to fairs in your area or like markets and find small emerging businesses that you could potentially do private label with, for example. So just kind of think outside of the box. And number 4 is skillful sales strategy. Now, this means that you really just have a defined customer journey to sale that converts the lookers to buyers and leads your customers to high retention and loyalty. So operating also in multiple sales channels, which again means diversifying your revenue. So if you're on Instagram and you sell products, I should be able to buy products on your Instagram, right? That should be enabled. Show up wherever your customers are buying and make it easy for them to buy. You should have a rewards program so you can reward your customers for buying, and it should be jewel worthy and like actually make them want to join. And again, have you created innovative ways to sell or serve, like I like to say. So here are examples of different sales channels you can be in. So take a look and see which sales channels you currently operate in and see where there's opportunities to expand that. And if you don't have a retail business, maybe you have a creative business, I am pretty sure that there's opportunity for you to create your own product to sell in your business. Pretty sure. And so when you think about private label, like I said, the fastest, easiest way to start your own private label line, which means it's your brand, your custom item, find a small business. They can turn it around the fastest, right? Lower minimums and everything. And even on websites like fair.com, where they're selling wholesale, you can reach out to them and ask them if they do private label custom orders. And private label also is higher margin, so more revenue. So definitely if you have your own retail store and you don't have any private label products, I highly recommend to get on that ASAP. If you make your own products and you don't wholesale yet, I suggest to explore that. And again, you can start small on some place like fair.com before you jump into trade shows, because that's a whole other beast. So these are just some examples. And the bonus one is disruption. So what is your disruption factor? What is making you different than everybody else? And just to define what that means by Oxford Languages, they define it as disrupting a company or technology means to cause radical change in an industry or market by means of innovation. And I just listed some ways as an examples of how to disrupt. So creating something completely new. Here in Atlanta, there is a grocery, kind of like convenience store called Nourish and Bloom. They're the first autonomous grocery store in the US. And they're also the first African-American owned autonomous grocery store, I think, in the world. And literally, it's all like you scan, I haven't been, but I've seen videos, but you walk in and you scan it and like a robot is doing the fulfillment for you. Example 2 is creating a version that's better than something existing. An example of that is Showfields. They have a store in Miami and New York, I believe some other location, but they've turned the traditional retail brick and mortar store model into something fun and exciting. So look them up for inspiration. Another example is to dominate a new market with few players. So when the CBD market first emerged, there were a few players because there was a lot of unknowns. But now you can clearly see who the big players are who capitalized on that when it first started. So is there a new market that you may already know about that you need to run full steam ahead on? And then number 4 is using technology to level up the business. Fair.com is an online wholesale marketplace. And I think they were the first or one of the first to do so, and definitely for the only carrying indie brands. So how can you use technology to level up what it is that you do? And the last pretty much thing is, these are just some examples of how you can disrupt, again, your niche. So think about customer service. How can you do things differently in the way you engage with your customers? Your products, again, private label products. Can you create something custom? Technology, a new way to check out. Glossier, when you go to their store, they help you with the iPad. And then you have to go to a separate room with a cute couch, like a whole lounge, and wait for the person to call your name at the counter, and then they hand you your order. So it's just a different experience, but it's new and like cool. And then the business model itself, maybe the way you run your store is completely different and new than anything that we've seen before. So just think about that and how you can truly disrupt what being a retailer actually is. Yes, and someone said, Showfields is cool, but so expensive, yeah, and not driving sales. Are there any others like this that are more friendly for small businesses? Yeah, we should talk about that. There are a lot of stores like boutiques that are opening up their spaces and to like smaller brands. Oh, there's a store or a website. I think it's called Pivot Market. You might need to message me after this, but I believe it's Pivot Market. And there's another one too that I can't remember right now, but they have a network of boutiques that you can pop up in, or that they'll rent space to you, that I know is way cheaper than Showfields. And you can even do it by like the week. And yes, fair commission. I know I've heard it's horrendous. All right. So then I'm just going to skip through because I am running super long, almost late, and I wanted to be able to answer questions if you have any. So like I mentioned, running ads alone is not what really grows your sales. It's just amplifying what you already have, right? So if you have a solid backend, if you have a solid supply chain already in place, if you have a solid lead gen tool, ads just amplify that. So you want to make sure that what's going on in your business right now is good, it's solid, your vision is clear, your vision is aligned in every area of your company. So then whenever you do decide to run ads, they will convert. And truly, to just wrap it all up, everything we talked about today, to make it happen in your business, all you need is to create a growth plan that incorporates these elements and us thinking deeper about what it is we want to do and execute it. That's it. And that's what I help with. I do VIP days where we create your growth plan, your 12-month growth plan, and really dig deep into everything that we talked about today and your vision to create the path forward for your business. So I would love to chat with you about your revenue goals, about your store, and yeah, say hi.
Amazing. This was so great. I clearly am not in the retail business, but this was so thought-provoking. And I was just thinking about all sorts of different ways to diversify. And I loved your challenge of 3 problems and then 3 solutions to each of those problems. I thought that was a really great challenge to leave everyone with. So thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
If anyone has a quick question, feel free to drop it in the chat, but DeAnna did leave her contact info. So if you do have any questions, you can definitely reach out. We did have one question come up about if the slides would be shared after. I know this was recorded, but
yeah.
Okay, awesome. So anyone who's interested in the slides, we will include those when we share this in the collective, so you can have access to those. But
Yeah.
thank you so much, DeAnna. This was amazing. And thank
Thank
you everyone
you.
for joining. It's always so great to learn alongside each other. In the chat, I am dropping our event feedback form. It's completely anonymous. We'd love to hear your thoughts on our events and what we can do to make sure that we're continuing to serve you. But it was so great spending this time with everyone. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much, DeAnna. I hope you
Yes.
feel better. We appreciate you for being here. I would
Yes.
have never known you were sick.
All right, great.
Honestly.
And
You're at
sorry.
camp. I hope you get some rest.
Thank you. And I'm going to just drop my email, but it's DeAnnaMcIntosh.com. And my email is DeAnna@DeAnnaMcIntosh.com. So you can find me there anytime and on Instagram at DeAnna J. McIntosh.